became angry. And he introduced me to myself. Everything changed. That's why I'm the way I am now.
What's up, y'all? Today we'll be reading from the book of St. Matthew, chapters 26 through 28. It is a pretty lengthy read today, so be prepared. Don't dip out, even if you want to. Stay in it. We all in on nothing. Okay? I thank you, Father God, for this moment. For this exact moment, I thank you. And I can't even speak about it. I really just can't. I just want to be about it. So I want to give you praise and honor before I read this word and figure out what is 26 through 28 about. And let's begin. Chapter 26, the plot to kill Jesus. And it came to pass when Jesus had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples, Ye know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Jesus by subtlety and kill him. Verse 5. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people. A woman anoints Jesus with precious anointment. No, I'm wrong. With precious ointment. I said anointment. Okay, verse 6. Now when Jesus was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, To what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. And when Jesus understood it, he said unto them, Why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also that this woman hath done be told for a memorial of her. Jesus is betrayed by Judas. Then one of the 12, called Judas Aristocrat. I'm going to start over, y'all. Verse 14. Then one of the 12, called Judas Aristocrat, went unto the chief priest, and said unto them, What will ye give me? And I will deliver him unto you. Question. And they coveted it with him for 30 pieces of silver. And from that time he sought opportunity to betray him. Jesus and the disciples eat the Passover. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? So he's saying, Where wilt thou we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? Like, where will we eat it? Is that what it's saying? Verse 18 says, And he said, Go into the city, so such a man, and say unto him, The master say, My time is at hand, and I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. And when even was come, now when the evening was come, he sat down with the 12. And they did eat, he said, Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord, is it I? And he answered and said, He that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man go as it is written of him, but woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? And he said unto him, Thou hast said. Jesus institutes his holy supper. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of vine, until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. And when they had sung in hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Jesus predicts Peter's denial. In verse 31, Then said Jesus unto them, All ye shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee. Peter answered and said unto him, Thou, all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended. And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, that this night, before the cock crow, I'm going to repeat that. Verse 34, Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, that this night, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny my, oh my. And I'm going to start again because that's okay. Verse 34, And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, that this night, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And Peter said unto him, Thou, I should die with thee, yet will I deny thee. Likewise also said all the disciples. And Jesus prays in Gethsemane. Then come Jesus with them into a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, Sit ye here, while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and 2 sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. And then said he unto them, My soul is exceeding sorrowful even unto death. Tarry ye here, and watch with me. And he went a little further, and fell on his face, and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. Yes. Verse 40. And he come unto me, disciples, and find them asleep, and said unto Peter, what, could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. That the spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak. He went away again a second time and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. That cup looking a lot different to me now. Oh, I'm so happy I read this. In verse 43, and he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again and prayed the third time, saying the same words. And come he to his disciples and said unto them, sleep on now and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that do betray me. Jesus is betrayed with a kiss. In verse 47, and while he spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude, with swords and staves, from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Hold him fast. I want to repeat verse 47 and verse 48. And while he spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves, and from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Hold him fast. And forthwith he came to Jesus and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. And Jesus said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come? Then came they and laid hands on Jesus and took him. And behold, one of them which were with Jesus stretched out his hands and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. Loyalty. Then said Jesus unto him, Put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Punishment. Verse 53. Think thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled that this it must be? In that same hour said Jesus to the multitudes, Are ye come out as against a thief, with swords and staves, for to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple, and ye laid no hand, and ye laid no hold on me. But all this was done, that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. Jesus is tried before the Jewish council. Get it together, Symph. Jesus is tried before the Jewish council. And they that had laid hold on Jesus led him away to Cephas, Cephas, Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest palace, and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priest and the elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. Thou many false witnesses come. They came, yet found none. At last came 2 false witnesses, and this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. The high priest arose and said unto him, Answerest thou nothing? What is it which thee witness against thee? But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adore thee by the living God, and thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. And Jesus said unto him, Thou hast said, Nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He hath spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, He is guilty of death. Then did they spit in his face and buffeted him. Then did they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, Prophesy unto us, thou Christ, who is he that smote thee? Peter denies Jesus. Now Peter sat without in the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, Thou also wast with Jesus of Galilee. But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what thou say. And they, when he was gone, let me repeat that, verse 71. And when he was gone out into the porch, another man saw him and said unto them that were there, This fellow was also with Jesus of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know that man. I do not know the man. And after a while came unto him that they stood by, and said to Peter, Surely thou also art one of them, for thy speech bewareth thee. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew. And Peter remembered the words of Jesus, which said unto him, Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And he went out and wept bitterly. The death of Judas. Chapter 27. Y'all doing a good job by reading and hearing and listening and understanding. Good job. So the death of Judas. I heard Pastor Jake say this once. And I've never read Judas before. I'm new to this. But I heard Pastor Jake say once that Judas didn't even realize what he was selling when he gave Jesus up. He was selling his health. He was selling his wealth. He was selling his territory. He was selling everything for some coins. So now I'm about to read it and discover more of what that means. So let's get into it. The death of Judas. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and the elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned, and that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? See thou to that. What is that to us? See thou to that. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and hanged himself. He killed himself. And the chief priest took the silver pieces and said, it is not lawful to put them into the treasury, because it is the price of blood. And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field to bury the strangers in. And wherefore that field was called the field of blood unto this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they of the children of Israel did value, and gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord appointed me. The trial before Pilate. And Jesus stood before the governor. And the governor asked him, saying, art thou the king of the Jews? And Jesus said unto him, thou say. Jesus real thorough. In verse 12, and when he was accused of the chief priest and elders, he answered nothing. Then said Pilate unto him, hearest thou not how many things they witness against thee? And he answered him to never a word, insomuch that the governor marveled greatly. Now at that feast the governor was wont to release unto the people a prisoner whom they would. And they had then a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they were gathered together, Pilate said unto them, whom will ye that I release unto you, Barabbas or Jesus, which is called Christ? Question. So he was asking, do you want me to give you guys Barabbas? Do Barabbas go free or Jesus? in verse 17. For he knew that for envy they had delivered him. And when he was set down on the judgment seat, his wife sent unto him, saying, Have thou nothing to do with that just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. His wife. But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Jesus. So is that Barabbas' wife who came forward and said, don't let him go? Have thou nothing to do with that just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. I feel like she's saying, I have bad memories because of this man. But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Jesus. The governor answered and said unto them, Whether of the twain will ye that I release unto you? And they said, Barabbas. Pilate said unto them, What shall I do then with Jesus, which is called Christ? And they all say unto him, Let him be crucified. And the governor said, Why? What evil hath he done? But they cried out the more, saying, Let him be crucified. And when Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing but that rather atonement was made, he took the water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. So Pilate saying, I ain't got nothing to do with what y'all about to do with him. I try to reason it, but I gotta let it happen. Is Pilate wrong? Then answered all the people and said, His blood be on us and be on our children. Oh, they got it. They savage. They didn't even think about the churn. Jesus is mocked and crucified in verse 26. Then released he Barabbas unto them. They fools. I can just picture Barabbas being let out. Because this really happened, y'all. Jesus walked this earth. Just imagine that. And it's okay to imagine that. And that this being your first day touching the ground and knowing that, Jesus walked this earth. So I can imagine Barabbas being free. I wonder if he felt any sympathy for Jesus, because he know Jesus ain't had no right being in there, and he had every right to be there. So much different perspectives, so many people involved in this. Then released he Barabbas unto them, and when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the common hall and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers. And they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had platted a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head and reed in his right hand. And they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews. And they spit upon him and took the reed and smote him on the head. And after they had mocked him, they took the robe off from him and put his own raiment on him and led him away to crucify him. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross. And when they were come into a place called Golgotha, that is to say, a place of a skull, they gave him vinegar to drink, mingled with gall. And when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. And they crucified him, and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet. And they parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down, they watched him there, and set up over his head his accusation, written, This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Then were there 2 thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand and another on the left. And they that passed by reviled him, waging their heads, and saying, Thou that destroy the temple, and build it in 3 days, save thyself. Thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. Likewise also the chief priests, mocking him with the scribes and the elders, said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, and if he will have him. For he said, I am the Son of God. He trusted in God. The thieves also which were crucified with him cast the same in his teeth. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, This man called for Elias. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge, and filled it with the vinegar, and put it on a reed, and gave him to drink. The rest said, Let be. Let us see whether Elias will come to save him. Jesus dies and is buried. Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. And the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were opened, and many bodies and the saints were slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. Now when the centurion and they that were with him, watching Jesus, saw the earthquake and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, Truly this was the Son of God. Wow. So casually. Oh, This was the Son of God. And many women were there beholding afar off, which followed Jesus from Galilee, ministering unto him, among which was Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of James, and Joses, and the mother of Zebedee's children. When the even was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea named Joseph, who also himself was Jesus' disciple. He went to Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded the body to be delivered. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. And there was Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. Now the next day that followed the day of the preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees came together unto Pilate, saying, Sir, we remember that deceiver said, while he was yet alive, after 3 days I will rise again. So in verse 63, saying, Sir, we remember Jesus has said, I will arise again. Verse 64, command therefore that the sepulchre be made sure unto the 3rd day. Let his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say unto the people, he is risen from the dead, so that the last era shall be worse than the first. Pilate said unto them, Ye have a watch, go your way, make it as sure as ye can. So they went and made the sepulchre sing, sealing the stone and setting a watch. Big boy, chapter 28. Jesus' resurrection. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. For fear of him the keepers did shake, and became as dead men. And the angel answered and said unto the woman, Fear not ye, for I know that ye seek Jesus, which was crucified. He is not here, for he is arisen, and he is said, Come, see the place where the Lord lay, and go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he go before you into Galilee, and there shall ye see him. Lo, I have told you. And they departed quickly from the sepulchre, which fear and great joy, and did run to bring his disciples word. And as they went to tell his disciples, behold, Jesus met them, saying, All hail, y'all boy. And they came and held him by the feet and worshipped him. Then said Jesus unto them, that felt so long that Jesus was away. Like, Jesus coming back and saying, "Oh, hell." Like, that felt like that was a long, drastic, drawn out time. And even though it was one day, so much happened. Him being captured and treated so poorly, crucified, hung, dying, crying. And so when I see that Jesus say, "All hail," I kind of was like, I took a deep breath. I don't know if y'all took a deep breath, but I'm like, okay, we back on track. All hail. And they came and held him by the feet and worshipped him. And then said Jesus unto them, "Be not afraid. Go tell my brethren that they go into Galilee, and there shall they see me." The soldiers are bribed. Now when they were going, behold, some of the watch came into the city, and shewed unto the chief priest all the things that were done. And when they were assembled with the elders, and had taken counsel, they gave large money unto the soldiers, saying, "Say ye, his disciples came by night and stole him away while we slept." They don't give up. And if this come to the governor's ears, we will persuade him and secure him. Your soul can be bought. So they took the money and did as they were taught. Oh. So there are many type of teachers. You can be taught good things and bad things. And this saying is commonly reported among the Jews until this day. Jesus gives the Great Commission in verse 16. Then the 11 disciples went away into Galilee, and to a mountain where Jesus had appointed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted him. Okay, some gonna doubt you guys. Some gonna just doubt. Ain't nothing you can do about it. And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, "All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world." Amen. And that's the end of the reading, guys. And this is the time where I go ahead and share 3 things or more that caught my attention while I was reading. So let's get into it. And I like to pull at least one thing from like each chapter I do. Or it depends on if it says to only read one chapter today. If because I'm reading from this guy that's in back of my Bible. Like, I'm just going with the flow of life. And if it says just one book, one chapter, then I'll figure out, okay, pull 3 things from that chapter. Maybe you don't have 3 chapters to pull one from. So it changes on the daily. So bear with me as I get accustomed to talking, because I'm realizing I enjoy doing this. I feel purposeful in this. And it's not by accident. So I'm just thankful to God to be able to use my voice in a good way. So 3 things that got my attention in the book of St. Matthew, chapters 26 through 28. Boom, 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 boom. Jesus institutes his Holy Supper. And as they were eating, in verse 26, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." And when they had sung in him, they went out into the Mount of Olives. So that caught my attention, because now when I'm hearing it, I know what them boys saying. Something else that caught my attention was Jesus being mocked and crucified. They stripped him and put him on a scarlet robe. And put on him a scarlet robe. And when they had plaited a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand. And they bowed the knee before him, and mocked him, saying, "Hail the King of the Jews!" And they spit upon him, and took the reed and smote him on the head. And after they had mocked him, they took the robe off from him, and put his own raiment on him, and led him away to crucify him. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to hear his cross. And when they came into a place called Golgotha, that is to say, a place of a skull, they gave him vinegar to drink, mingled with gall. And when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. And they crucified him, and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down, they watched him there. And they set up over his head his accusation, written, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." And then were there 2 thieves crucified with him, one on his right hand and one on his left. And they that passed by reviled him, waging their heads, and saying, "Thou that destroyed the temple and build it in 3 days, save thyself if thou be the Son of God. Come down from the cross." They were tempting him, telling him to come down from the cross. In verse 42, they said, "If he save others, himself he cannot save." Yo, this is wicked. Like, this is a mind game he had to been dealing with. And Jesus says, in the 9th hour, crying with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani," that is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" And some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, "This man called for Elias." So they're saying this man still believing in what he's standing for. And that's just my opinion. That's what I'm getting from this reading. And so something that got my attention in chapter 28 was chapter 28, boy. Them soldiers been bribed in chapter 28. They took the bait. And then them boy tell the soldiers saying in verse 13, saying, ye, his disciples came by night and stole him away while we slept. And if this come to the governor's ears, and so they continue in the lie. So if this come to the governor's ears, we will persuade him and secure him with a bag. So don't be bought, people. So they took the money and did as they were taught. And this saying is commonly reported among the Jews unto this day. But Jesus come back big time and gives great commission. So this was good. I'm so happy. We completed the book of St. Matthew. And now we will be entering St. Mark. And this is just the gospel according to St. Mark. So let's see what that's about as we dive into that in future days. I'm just so thankful to be alive, man. I am great. I'm the best at what I do. I'm the best at what I do. I am a young lady of purpose. I stand for something. I'm unmovable. I'm loving. I have great family and friends around me. I'm not dependent on them anymore. I let that go. I am as great as I think I am. Every day I wake up, I have things coming to me for my greater good. Each step I take, God is on my side. I do this thing where I run with Jesus. Jesus in the front. And if I can't do it, he got the lead. So I am so happy. And I just want to share love and spread love to anybody who listening. Just anybody who need encouragement. 2 years ago, I was so broken. Man, look at me, man. What a sound mind now. And that's what I really was yearning for. And I got it. Y'all boy, keep going. We got this. It's time to create a new 300-year plan. The time is now. Your mind is important. Don't be taught everything. I'm out. God bless you guys.